Yeah, I'm a lapsed militant atheist. I definitely not militant. Definitely not an atheist. I wouldn't say I'm extremely religious, but I am kind of returned to the Catholicism that I rejected. It's a journey. I mean, after you've been marinating in the four horsemen for 10 years, it's you kind of have to kind of make yourself available to the metaphysical in a very forceful way, because I've kind of marinated in these arguments for a long time, but I am much more connected to the world of the spiritual, and I think it's less so that I've read a book in Catholicism and I was like, wow, I'm struck by the truth of the word of God. It was more that I've started to doubt rationality. I kind of started to doubt, because essentially what new atheism it kind of has a religious component. It's essentially the cult of the homunculus, the rational individual behind the eyes making all the decisions, going ahead, doing, kicking ass, taking names, all that stuff. And I started to doubt that figure or that entity as being, as good as I thought it was, or at least being the measure of all things and enough to rule the world through. And then, I've kind of become a bit more interested in tradition. I've tried on to see what it feels like to not have to, I don't know, reinvent the wheel every time. Got married and now I'm going to have a baby, all sorts of, weird old school stuff that people used to do back in the day, and it feels really nice, I have to say. So in a way, kind of, I'm just riding blind through this whole kind of almost traditional lifestyle, pickling and making bread and doing all sorts of old school stuff, and it's pretty nice. I don't know, I'm probably not doing it correctly, or I'm LARPing or whatever, but the closer I got to the lifestyle of my, I don't know, my ancestors, in a way, like my grandma used to live, the calmer and better I feel. So I don't know. I'm just empirically testing this day by day.
Well, that's one of the things I found quite interesting about your personal story, because I think I would include myself in this. A lot of people go through the sort of 20s, early 30s period of their life, and they're doing things that aren't making them happy, but they don't necessarily know what they're supposed to be doing. And in the modern society, they're being sold a whole bunch of narratives about what they should be doing and what should make them happy. And quite a lot of those things they then find out don't make them happy, aren't contributing to a better life or a better future. But you had, whether, I don't know, is it the presence of mind or whatever it might be, to go, actually, this is not good. This isn't working for me, and maybe I should try my grandma's lifestyle. Like, how did you know that you actually need to change up?
Yeah, I think it was, empirical experiment. I realized at one point that I was completely incapable of making good decisions about what would make me happy. It was just like almost completely the opposite of what I thought was gonna do it. It was good to go the other way. In my case, I just, I don't know, I was a bit disillusioned by what I was seeing around me, and yeah, I said, okay, there is a reason for tradition, and putting on my economist hat. I just realized that tradition is a heuristic. It's what people do because it works, because it's been robust throughout time, and things like, I don't know, just working with your hands or having a garden or things like that are just, I don't know, sound like what old people do to my generation. It's very hard to describe, but it's, they fulfill a need in me that is, it's hard to, if I had to put all my needs in a spreadsheet, I would not necessarily know how to describe it in words, or, to assign weights or values to it. But it does something, and, also pregnancy. Like when I was younger, I couldn't even conceive of the idea of having children. It seemed absolutely clear to me that I would never have children. It's absurd. I don't like babies, whatever. But now, going through this process, it's one of those things where you don't know what you don't have until it's there. And yeah, I think that's probably the issue with people being able to predict what's going to make them happy. You really don't know until it happens, and then until you make a commitment to something as well. I think that's also an important dimension because, like I said, a lot of modern living is about optionality. It's about increasing how many options you have. Okay, what can I consume today? What's going to be status enhancing for me? What am I getting out of this? But a lot of the interesting things in life, a lot of the things that are hard to put into words happen when you give up on options, when you commit to something, when you commit to doing this show, to having a family, to building something more long term with someone, to a friendship or something like that. So I feel like we tend to optimize for the things that we feel, at an expedient level are going to make us happy, which anything from sweets to, I don't know, impulsive sexual encounters are gonna fit the bill, but it's very hard to predict the longer term stuff.
And Alex, do you think a large part of this was brought on by COVID? Because I'll tell you from my experience. So when I was doing comedy, I was gigging 6 nights a week. I was gigging in, the best clubs, and it took me a long time to get to that point. I thought I was happy. I thought this is what I wanted to do. Then overnight, life literally stopped like that. And then you're left.
With me.
Exactly. And what you actually realize is that you've been dedicating your life to a career, but the reality is that isn't fulfilling. It's nebulous. It's something, it doesn't anchor you like a family, a relationship, etc., etc. Was that part of the process for you?
I think I was definitely on the path before COVID, but it has cemented it much more because, for example, I mean, I was engaged before COVID, and we got married during COVID in one of these ridiculous ceremonies, but and we wanted to have a child before that, and I was kind of, I was pickling before COVID, I have to say, but it did really, it strengthened my relationship a lot, to be in a bunker with someone for what is it now, 14 months, and to feel like, you still kind of like them is quite cool.
So there's a reassuring vote of confidence for your husband there. You still kind of like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's okay. he still kind of likes me, it seems. Yeah. So yeah, we're tolerating each other well. And I've moved back to Romania, where we live in kind of a duplex thing with my mom's my neighbor, and I see her every day, and we've had quite a rocky relationship, but it's really improved things, and I don't know, it's kind of refocused me a little bit on the, as I said, the longer term stuff, the stuff that I have more skin in the game in, like family and yeah. And in a way, it's also given me a lot of freedom, like, the podcast and, coming on to shows like this. It's quite cool. I'd never thought I'd be in the situation where, people would ask me to respond to questions. It's fun. So yeah, it's been a transformative time. Obviously, it's not been great in many other respects. It's been rocky, but I think for me and a lot of people, I know so many people who are pregnant now who are just decided to have COVID babies, and the media says, oh no, it's a sink, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to believe my lying eyes to think that there's quite a few COVID babies popping up. So. Yeah, I think it's been a mixed blessing for sure.